Hello, and welcome to this special Christmas episode of Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 11 of Chobits. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. Alright, so last we left off, there was some discussion of persicums and their role in society, how involved should you really get with one? It seems as though, no matter what, Hideki's probably going to get involved. And I guess, based off of the preview from the previous episode, it seems like this is gonna be a bit of a spooky episode. And I'm wondering if Hideki's sort of like the type of person who's prone to scary things. I know I certainly am. I generally speaking kind of avoid horror movies and things like that, but here's hoping that this episode isn't actually scary. It's just sort of like everyone's scared of the circumstances they find themselves in. Although I get the feeling that if there is some sort of axe murderer or something wandering around, Chi is going to be inured, if not outright immune to any terror or fear. Because, Hideki, he's certainly, freaked out, but Chi doesn't know any different. So, okay, I think this is the story then. Because I was going to say, is this like a person watching and waiting as if she were, deliberately sort of teasing Hideki? But, man, to have an apartment where a grisly murder took place, that's something. And if I were apartment shopping, I definitely wouldn't want to live in a place where a murder had been committed. Man. So I'm getting the distinct impression that there's going to be some sort of a vengeful spirit, which, considering the murder that took place, it's understandable. Okay, so that's interesting that this story would be relayed by the personal persicom of the persicom expert. Oh, okay. So they're basically just reading creepypastas online. And it's some sort of just totally unsubstantiated creepy story. Yeah, Hideki, he's just causing trouble for himself, I think. If it's an unsubstantiated thing, you shouldn't really pay it any attention. Especially if you know you're sort of prone to fear and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, everybody else is going about their day normally, but only Hideki is frightened. Ooh. Okay, so he probably just, like, passed out of fear. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting that the urban legend is, all right nearby. I mean, I think Motosuo has the right idea here. Like, all this stuff really is in your head. Like, ghosts, generally speaking, aren't real. I don't want to talk in blanket statements here, but, I feel like a ghost is only going to really cause you as much problem insofar as you're willing to humor it, Like, if the ghost is downstairs and you don't, like, disturb it or bother it, it'll probably leave you alone, I mean, Hideki might present a target just because, like, who knows, he resembles the cheating husband for all I know, but, I mean, I don't know, like, it's just one of those things where if you don't seek trouble, you're not gonna find any. Although that said, she seems to be intent on causing trouble hanging from the chandelier like that. I wonder what would drive her to do that. And I guess more to the point, there's something else going on here. Which, that's interesting. Like, I'm wondering if this would be the ghost working its influence here. Because, like, sometimes on, like, those ghost hunter programs and things like that, they claim that the ghost gives off an electromagnetic frequency or electromagnetic radiation. That sort of stuff can interfere with computers, and I think it's a pretty small leap to say it can interfere with persocoms as well. So, I mean, I don't think this is going to make the jump into being like a horror ghost hunting type of show, but I don't know, might be neat for an episode for Chi to confront a malign spirit. Now, of course, there was what seemed to be blood seeping out from under the door, but it was conspicuously not bright crimson red, so I can only assume it was like an oil leak or something, like something was leaking motor oil. Because it seemed to be that sort of like orangish, brownish kind of color. Now, I feel like Hideki is going about this the wrong way. Like, he's just telling Chi to stay put, which is good. But, I think he shouldn't be nosing into things either. And, that he's worried about, like, seeming as though he's blackmailing the landlord. Like, I feel like that's a bit of a bridge too far. Just asking, like, hey, is this place haunted? Is there anything weird going on in that apartment? Like, I don't think that can reasonably be construed as blackmail. Wow, just like that, he's assuming like, oh, you know what, maybe it was in my head. Now, it seems to me that this is probably like the red herring, quote unquote, the ghost cleaned up its mess, so, he can go to work without a care in the world, but, oh. Yeah, I guess this is what happens when you work in a place where people cook. They're liable to wield knives. Just because your coworker has a knife doesn't mean they're gonna stab you. Especially if you work in a kitchen. If you work in an office, then, tread with caution. Wow. Okay. So, Yumi is scared of the color black and things that are black. Like, that's kind of a bridge too far, don't you think? Like, I know she's trying to comfort him. Like, it's okay to be scared of the supernatural, things like that, but, like, to the point where, like, crows and black cats elicit terror. Like, terror is a bit excessive. You know, being wary of black cats because of the bad luck they bring, like, that's one thing. You know, superstitious and all that, but, like, truly afraid. Ooh, Hideki, have you not learned your lesson? Oh, he really hasn't learned his lesson. So not only is he, you know, philandering with Yumi, but, like, the cat jumped down and scared her. You had the perfect opportunity to step up and be manly and just, like, you know, maybe not hit the cat, but intersperse yourself between Yumi and the cat. Like, man, that is a colossal fumble. So surely Hideki's gonna want to redeem himself now, right? The next time something spooky goes on, it's up to him, right? Ooh. Wow, Hideki has been utterly rebuffed by facts and logic. There is no room 104, therefore the whole ghost story is bogus. It turns out you just need to look at the floor plan. Wow, you know, like, somehow, I think there is still going to be some supernatural stuff going on, but, like, man, oh, he's really being shown up. Like, she's willing to go and investigate, too. Granted, she probably doesn't necessarily understand the gravity of the situation. You know, the supposed gravity, but, like, well, what could a ghost really do to a Persicom, really? Like, if, you know, ghosts, like, scare people, like, Persicoms should be seemingly immune to that. She might be a special case. But, like, if a ghost were to possess a person, like, I feel like you'd have to have flesh and blood. And therefore, a Persicom wouldn't cut it. Ooh. So, what a convenient little power outage. And, you know, the room is labeled 104, although it seems kind of erroneous to me. It's interesting that we sort of, like, immediately cut to a different time and a different place, because I feel like there should have been some resolution to that. Now, I guess it's interesting that she is so, you know, concerned with room 104, because it's kind of hard to tell whether, like, something's truly wrong with her, or if she's just, like, her usual kind of vaguely absent-minded self. And it really is kind of hard to tell with her, because absent-mindedness is, kind of the norm. I guess maybe because she doesn't really know about ghosts and all that. Wow. Man, you know things are bad when you sleep until past noon. Like, man. Okay. So, I guess I'm wondering if this is some sort of like a mass hallucination on Hideki's part, because he seems to be just like passing out and skipping from time to time to time. You know, he was investigating the door, and then he woke up, and it's the afternoon, now he's on a date. You know, none of this really makes all that much sense, and I get the feeling... I don't know. I feel like there's an explanation. Maybe there's like a carbon monoxide leak, and he's hallucinating from carbon monoxide poisoning. Because I feel like, okay, yeah, here we go again. Like, it's a nice date, but oh boy, spooky apartment. I feel like, this isn't the sort of thing that Yumi would want to do as a date, but, oh wow. Okay, something's definitely going on here if he almost walked into a train. Man. Wow, that's highly tactful of his teacher to recognize that, yeah, something's going on, but no, you don't want to talk about it. Although something tells me that going to get a drink with your teacher isn't necessarily a good idea. I mean, I'm not convinced that this is real either, but I don't know. It would be interesting if it... Okay, yeah. I was gonna say it would be interesting if it was, because I'd like to see more of the teacher, but it's not to be bored. No, she wants to bring him to room 104 to get stabbed. Oh dear. So is he just like... He's sleeping in class, so... I guess reality was waking up past noon and now this. Everything else has been a dream. Man, he's really out of it. I feel like this is just one of those days where, like, you call it quits early and you just go to bed. Like, there's no salvaging a day like this, you know? So it's interesting that Motosua says, like, time to perform an exorcism. I feel like, you almost need, like, a placebo, like a dream catcher or something like that. Like, something to ward off an evil spirit, even if only to sort of put your own mind at ease. Wow. You know, the Persicom expert is correct here. It's like, yeah, just ignore the scary stories that are obviously fake. I mean, sure, you know, a murder might have happened in an apartment somewhere, but, like, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean there's gonna be a ghost, you know? So, it's interesting that they're bringing up psychology here. You know, like, sometimes the human brain sees what it wants to see, you know, or sees what it thinks it should see, not necessarily what it is seeing. And so, you know, just because he saw, like, a puddle of blood and all sorts of other spooky phenomenon doesn't mean they really happened. I mean, I've seen, like, bizarre things out of the corner of my eye, but, like, you know, that doesn't make it real. And it's, like, not like I fully witnessed it either in the way that Hideki seems to be doing. So at least everybody's willing to sort of hang out with him and see this thing through to the end, you know, just to try and prove once and for all that there's no spiritual phenomenon going on here. So I guess the question is, are they just gonna, like, barge into the empty apartment? Because, like, I feel like they'd have to get the blessing of the landlord and maybe, like, a spare key. You know, you can't necessarily just go breaking and entering. And even if you do witness the phenomenon from the outside, like, you know, that won't do it. You know, that's not definitive proof. I mean, there certainly seems to be something going on, judging by the puzzled expression everyone has, but... You know, even so, I do think it's not really a ghost. And I guess good on Chi for having a level head here, saying like, hey man, you don't have to be scared, you can calm down. You know, she's not the most reassuring to be sure, but, you know, better than nothing, right? So, Motosua saw, like, a figure in the dark, but that's not necessarily a knife murderer, you know? It could just be a person walking around in the darkened hallway. Now, I do think it's interesting that they're checking upstairs first, seeing as how they know that's not where the stuff is going on. That strikes me as kind of, convenient that they would go somewhere else, but... I guess maybe this is their sort of 7th dimension chess move to get Hideki to sort of, you know, get over his fear and protect Chi. Because, you know, if he truly believes she's in danger, then certainly he should act, right? Alright, here we go. Yeah, so, like, that's kind of what I figured. There wasn't any actual danger. I'm pretty sure that's the landlord. Ooh. So she was cleaning mold and it was like a flickering light bulb. Huh. Wow. How about that? There was an explanation the entire time. And I'm wondering if maybe, like, if there was actual mold, if that was the cause of, like, hallucinations. Man. You know, this is probably a pretty good lesson on why you shouldn't really jump to conclusions just because, you know, your mind can convince you of all sorts of silly things. Oh, that's interesting. So, the reason for the numbering was because of the remodeling, which, I mean, that indicates to me that she knocked down, like, walls and built new ones and stuff like that, which, you know, sort of seems like it's beyond the scope of what she's capable of if she was struggling with changing a light bulb, but I guess it makes sense if she, made all the individual apartments bigger. Yeah, like, I mean, Hideki's fear that, like, Chi could become possessed, like, it's kind of silly, right? You know, it's a ghost, not a computer virus. Although that said, you know, she does have a weird penchant for hanging on the ceiling now. No real good explanation for that, I suppose. Okay, yeah. So, I guess they're leaving it inconclusive with that little humming sound. You know, maybe there is something nefarious going on that can only affect persicoms. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. Merry Christmas, Space Cowboy.